Good morning, good afternoon, and a very Merry Christmas, guys. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Hope you all got exactly what you wished for Christmas from Santa Claus. Sorry, I'm just reading some of the comments you guys put in the chat. You crack me up, you really do. I hope everybody had a great weekend. I think today's Monday. It doesn't feel like a Monday. I always find that the week between, just after Christmas and between New Year is just a really weird week because you have all the celebrations and then some people go back to work, some people are still off, and it just kind of blurs into one. But guys, we are nearly out of 2021. We are nearly there. We can do this. Let's see who we've got this morning. We've got Decepticons, Cave of Toys and Villains. Hello, love. Good to see you. We've got the Lady Arwen Avalon. Hello, sweetheart. We've got Ren Zero. Good morning and Merry Christmas. And let's see. We've got both Bash Brothers. We've got Mark and Chris. Hello, gentlemen. Good to see you. Let's see. Terry Rose. Good to see you. Project Storytime. Who was first? As always, well done. Good to see you. We've got Nearsighted Cyclops, who apparently wasn't expecting the music, so coffee went everywhere. I am sorry, Nearsighted Cyclops. We've got Snorter Poopus. Hello. You guys really like the short purple skirt, don't you? I'm going to have to invest in a purple skirt for Valhalla Khan, I think. We've got Snow Double live. Hello, sweetheart, and a big thank you for letting me join you the other day. We did a watch party of the Muppets Christmas Carol. It was a lot of fun. Big thank you to Snowdub for that. Let's see who else we've got. We've got Jim the Viking. There he is. Good to see you. Let's see. I know I saw Louise. Hello, lovely. Good afternoon, Louise. We've got D-Bud Martin. Good to see you. Merry Christmas to you. I think that's everyone. No, Gum Bunny. There she is. Hey, sweetheart. Good to see you. And Zakarot. Good to see you as well. Good morning. I know Six is here. She says she'll be listening, but she's got to go shovel show. No, definitely shovel snow. Isash Melody, good to see you as well. I'm really tongue-tied today, guys. I think it was weird. It doesn't happen very often, but I actually got 6 full uninterrupted hours of sleep, and it's completely thrown me. I don't know what to do with myself today. Mark says, purple skirt for Valhalla Khan. There. Oh, God. I'm looking forward to next show, guys. I really am. I think it's going to be a good one. And thank you, sweetheart. Snowdub says you're welcome anytime, Purple. Mikasa is Sukasa. Well, same here, sweetheart. Anytime you want to join, just let me know. You guys are always welcome. You know that. So, guys, how was your Christmas? Did you have a good one? Was it busy? Did you get to spend it with friends and family? Was it a quiet one? I know a lot of people after the Christmas that we had last year just really wanted to kind of get out and get back to normal. And I think a lot of people did from what I saw on Twitter and, what people were posting and saying in chats and things. I think everybody seems to have had a really good Christmas and I'm really, really glad about it. Purple sleeping, definitely one of the seals broken with the apocalypse. Quite possibly. Like I said, it doesn't happen very often, and this is probably about the first time in a few months that I've got a block of sleep uninterrupted. But yeah, maybe it's a sign of things to come. And Deepa Martin, you make me tongue-tied. Tongue-tied whenever you're near me. Thank you. Jim says, your time always so much great food. Luckily, one has the rest of the year to get back into, in quotations, shape. Indeed, yes. And Christmas food, we've talked about it in the past. It's the best time. And, I think after what we've all been through, we all need to kind of let our hair down and have a little bit of fun. And if that includes overindulging on food or drink, I don't think that's a terrible thing at all. Renzero says, getting nice and drunk. Xmas was great. That's good. Good to hear. I'm glad you had a really good one as well. I had a good Christmas. It was quiet, but it was fun. Got to hang out with a lot of people. Got to chat, and there was lots and lots of streams going on. So the community was in full force. It was really good to see. So enjoyed it, and there is so much to do this week. We've got a lot of shows coming up. We've got a lot of New Year's shows coming up. So really looking to that as well. But what I was going to talk about today, I was looking for news. I mean, it's been very quiet. We've got the news about Peter Dinklage opening his mouth and being kind of silly. I don't know why he really doesn't need to do that. Game of Thrones isn't a thing anymore. I mean, yeah, perhaps he's not getting any roles, and he either was told or thought it was a great idea to say something controversial, but he's been getting backlash for it, and rightly so. Uh, but other than that, it's been pretty quiet, to be honest. I don't talk politics, so we're not going to talk about politics. But there is obviously a story going around about that, which I thought was pretty funny. But one of the things I did find, let me bring it up when I was having a search for something to chat with you guys about today that wasn't Christmas related. Oh, hey, we've got a couple more newcomers. We have got Brandon, good morning. And we have got Canadian Spider-Man. Good to see you, honey. Good morning. I love the little avatars that people have made with the Santa hats. That cracks me up. Let me bring up this article and we can have a look at it, because it did kind of, if not make me smile, then at least roll my eyes, because, yeah. So, we have got Del Toro. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm a big fan of Guillermo del Toro. I think he's a really talented director. I think he was one of those guys that, up until a few years ago, was willing to take a chance with his films. He was quite out there. He was somebody who liked to use a lot of the same cast, but use them to really good effect. And he also, speaking of effects, was one of those filmmakers that loved to use practical effects. So he didn't rely entirely on CGI. It was animatronics. It was talented makeup artists that brought his creations to life. And I really liked his visions. And had it happened, I would have really liked to have seen his take on the Hobbit movies. I think he would have done a really good job. But having said that, as much as I do like his films, Pan's Labyrinth was one of my absolute favourites. I thought Crimson Peak was okay as a, kind of gothic horror story goes. Hellboy, the first one at least, I thought was a great film. I thought Ron Perlman being cast as Hellboy was absolutely inspired. Pacific Rim, I thought was really good and doesn't get as much love as it deserves. The sequel, not so much, but still. But other than that, he's kind of lost his way in recent years. The last film that I saw at the cinema of his that I hated was The Shape of Water, and I've talked about that before. I was really disappointed with that film. It wasn't what I expected. Maybe I had too higher expectations. It happens sometimes. But he has got a new film coming out. It is Nightmare Alley. It's a kind of noir style film, but according to this, Nightmare Alley from Del Toro, he explains how his film challenges the American dream. In anticipation of Nightmare Alley's theatrical premiere, Guillermo del Toro discusses how his period piece film reflects society today. Yeah, that's exactly what you want to what you want in a period piece. You guys can, even before I read this article, you can see where it's going. It seems that filmmakers never learn. You have a film set in a certain time period, and the absolute worst thing that you can do is try and inject modern day politics into it. No. I hope for his sake it's successful, but I've got a sneaking suspicion it's not going to be. So let's have a look, see what he's got to say about this. And as a heads up, guys, it does say, warning, the following contains spoilers for Nightmare Alley. So if anybody was going to go see Nightmare Alley, just let me know in the chat, or just kind of dip out for a couple of minutes just while I cover it. Oh, and just quickly. Hello, NB Geek. Good morning and Merry Christmas to you, honey. He sends us a $5 super chat. Thank you, sweetheart. Spider-Man, first 1 billion movie since 2019. As General Maximus said, are you not entertained? We want to escape reality and be entertained. That damn simple. Absolutely, I couldn't agree more, MB Geek. That is all we want, and that is what we've seen from the films that have done well in the past couple of months. It's all been films that haven't concentrated on modern day politics. It's films that have, if they are part of a franchise, respected the franchise, and basically given the audience what they want, which is good entertainment. We don't want to be preached at, is the main message. Absolutely. Brandon says, sounds like Del Toro is lost. I think so. I think he's been in Hollywood too long, unfortunately. Arwen says, even the title is cringy. It really is, isn't it? And I like film noir. I think it's a genre we don't see very much. But I've got a sneaking suspicion it's not going to be that good. Brandon says, what is Nightmare Alley? Well, we're going to delve into it now. Let's see what Del Toro has to say. So, Nightmare Alley is the latest film by Oscar-winning director Guillermo del Toro. While it's his most grounded work to date, it has a haunting sense of whimsy. As usual, Del Toro uses his characters and story to resonate with audiences today. Not exactly, no. His original films, things like Pan's Labyrinth, Devil's Backbone, Kronos, were all set and based on whatever time period they were set in. So there wasn't modern day politics shoved into it. It didn't talk down to the audience. It just told the story that Del Toro wanted to tell. And usually it had a kind of dark undertone, because a lot of his films do. But that's what I loved about his work. So, despite setting the film in the early 40s, you can see where this is going. During a press conference that CVR and other news outlets attended, Del Toro discussed the power of genre films. He said, I think horror. It's a genre that rips the lid off pretense of normalcy. Yes, Del Toro would know that better than most. He also goes on to say it exposes very raw moral questions. It's very much a parable genre in a way. It always drags me in because it reflects the time the movies were made in. I thought that these are genres that are very sensitive to what's going on in the world at that time. Great sentences. He makes a lot of sense. Wherever your films are set, focus on that time period, focus on what's going on, especially the 1940s. It's a great time, and I think, as I said, it's something that not a lot of people have gone back to recently, so nothing wrong with that so far. Let's see what else he has to say about it, though. While Del Toro specifically noted how horror can tackle timely concepts, he also applied this to noir. His love for genre work goes beyond his professional film career. The director noted specific stories and storytellers that influence him. Black Mask, Donald Westlake, James Hadley Chase, and Massimo Cotello. He goes on to say, I knew my short films when I was a kid, he stated. I wanted to do horror or fantasy and noir. One of my first loves, I did a whole noir little short in the provinces in Mexico about corrupt policemen. I was enamored, first of all, of the literature of the writing. So he seems to really be a big fan, and he knows what he's talking about. Going back to the power of genre films, have representing themes and issues relevant to modern day audiences. Del Toro addressed how his latest film achieves that goal. For Nightmare Alley, Stan Carlisle, who's played by Bradley Cooper, is a con man turned mentalist in the early 40s. His greed and ambitions are his undoing, making an important commentary on the American dream. And just as a side note, I love the idea of the American dream, guys. I have talked about it in the past. Nowhere else in the world can you go and start with absolutely nothing, but through hard work, perseverance, you can be anything you want to be. I absolutely love that idea. It's something that we've seen played out so many times, and that's why people want to be in America. They want to be Americans. He goes on to say, I find the notion of success incredibly torturous. I find it as an artist. I've come to the definition that success is fucking up in your own terms. Yeah, that's true, I guess. That's basically it. It's not about how people praise what you do, but how you feel that you're expressing what you are. That took a while to figure out. I find the American dream an incredible generator of nightmares. I would disagree with that. See, I think of the American dream as hope, as potential, as you can be, as I said, anything you want to be if you put your mind to it and work hard. I think it's an incredibly positive thing. I don't think it's a nightmare at all. He says also, I think that it's something that's important. Also, in terms of the movie, reflects a character that is 2 steps away from losing everything. The whole movie, because of Stern, is made of lies. He's not shielded by the truth about himself or others, so he's always in danger. He's fraught. Sounds like he's created this character that is very much on the edge. It doesn't sound like it's a particularly hopeful movie, I've got to admit. It sounds like somebody who is a bad person and is not going to do anything to change being a bad person. Focusing on Stan in particular, Del Toro mentioned how by the middle of the movie he gets what many would consider a happy ending. However, that's not enough for Stan. His desire for more leads to his downfall, as is the way with a lot of things. All Stan wants is to be seen for what he is, Del Toro said. That's the only liberation in the movie that comes in the last 2 minutes for him. There's horror, emptiness, but also a relief. Oh yeah, this is who I am. I'm not a grand magician. I'm not a man of society. This is what I think I am. I'm going to be gone. That's a really bleak message to put in your movie. And whereas before there have been danger and a bleakness in some of his films, there's also been hope as well. And, finding the beauty in not only people, but in situations. There was always that hope for people. If you think back to Pan's Labyrinth, for example, Ophelia, the little girl, she's going through something terrible, but she still is able to escape into this fantasy world. So it also goes on to say, whilst this is Stan's movie, Del Toro and co-writer Kim Morgan create a complex cast of supporting characters. Not only does Del Toro relate to each character, but he emphasized staying loyal to their individual stories. There are characters that mean to me something different, Del Toro said. I think that crucial moments in which we are all at a most basic level, truth and delusion, or truth and lies, are also dependent on us being gullible and us being capable of being compassionate. Absolutely. At the end of the day, we're all human people, good or bad. I think generally most people want to be good, but circumstances can push us in different directions throughout life. He also said, I think that we want to imbue the movie with the anxiety of this time. Because it feels we wanted to make a movie about the period. Stick to the 1940s, please, Del Toro. We don't want modern day politics. We wanted to make it about now. Oh dear, here we go. I think that it's essential the moment we're in which we have to distinguish narrative truth and narrative lies with reality. Let me jump back, guys, and see what you're saying. Good morning, Dave Bob. Good to see you. He says, never give up, never surrender. Absolutely. I think so. MB Geek says, Purple Valkyrie, like Uncle Pop said, good and evil are a point of view. I would agree with that as well. Absolutely. Yes. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Brandon says, it's really sad that people like that have a level of mental inconsistence. Del Toro is an American success story, even if he's not from here or lives here. He is exactly that. He is, by definition, somebody who came to America and has succeeded because he has worked hard in an industry. So you really think he would use that as a reflection of how you can come from any background, anywhere, and still be a success. But unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case. Hello to Phonebox Chicken, good to see you. And TZ Canadian, hello, love. He says, good morning, Purple. It's freezing here, but a white Christmas. I wish we'd had a white Christmas. It was cold and rainy and quite foggy over Christmas for us. But I'm glad you're having a good one. And Keely Chow, good to see you, Keely. Roll Tide. Alwyn says, I find it interesting that those who find the American dream a nightmare are those who already have success and money. They are so missing the point. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with that more. As I said, the American dream is the dream of so many people, and not many people actually get to live it. Anyone who does get to it they do it because they have worked incredibly hard and because they deserve it. Renzira says the American dream will always exist, in my opinion. I think so too. I don't think it's an idea that can ever really be squashed. It can never really be killed because people will always strive to be better than they are. They will always strive to, if not give themselves a better life, then to give their family a better life, to give their kids whatever life they didn't have. And that is a very powerful motivator for a lot of people. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Phonebox Chicken says, just join the chatter. We're talking film noir. I like The Third Man. That's a really good example. I might do a show in the new year about the genre of noir. Absolutely. And Darfalina, hello, sweetheart. She says the American dream still exists. Why else would everybody else want to come here? Exactly. Nail on the head. Absolutely. And I think he knows this deep down. I think he's just trying to drum up a little bit of controversy for his film. I think films such as this, people aren't paying attention the way they used to. We've had so many films in the past month or so that have come out that have done incredibly well, and you can't blame audiences not going to see them because of the coof, because it's not the case anymore. As was mentioned in the chat earlier, Spider-Man has passed 1 billion, first time since 2019. So absolutely. And hello, the lovely Sherry. Good to see you. Arwin says, my dad got his first job at 6 shining shoes. He's worked all his life and has earned every damn thing he has. He has lived the American dream. See, that right there is a success story. So, my love to him. I hope he had a good Christmas. It's not a poopus. Toro means bull and he's slinging it. I think so as well. I had really high hopes for him. Like I said, I was a big fan of Del Toro. I mean, maybe he's just kind of lost his way a little bit, but yeah, we'll see. Let's see what else he has to say. Let's finish this article, shall we? So, seen as a master of his craft by many, Del Toro, who's now 57, added that he's still learning a lot about filmmaking and that it's something he deeply values. However, he did discuss specific directorial details that are important for his vision of Nightmare Alley. Why should I cut? Del Toro asks. I know what I'm going to cut. I know I'm going to use the crane like a witness. The camera is never high in this movie, almost never high. Almost all the time, it has a point of view of a child. And the camera is always curious, like trying to look over someone's shoulders. I shot a lot of characters from behind, as if the revelations come from the back of the character. So it seems like he's using the camera almost as a character in itself, or almost as a stand-in for the audience. So we're going to get a lot of close-ups of the cast. We're going to be right in the action, which sounds good. I like that kind of direction that he takes. He has a tendency with his films to get very up close and personal with his cast. He doesn't shy away Going back to Pan's Labyrinth, for example, if you think of the scene where two guys get caught and they think they're being they're caught for poaching, and they think that they're actually smuggling information as well. And instead of searching the bag, they kind of interrogate these guys, and one of the guys ends up being killed. And they weren't smuggling anything. They literally just had a couple of rabbits in the bottom of the bag. But never during that scene does the camera pull away from the action that's going on. And that was one of the things that really drew me to Del Toro. It was his kind of unflinching view of the world, and the darkness that's in it as well as the light. Let's see. So, while his vision may seem very particular, Del Toro trusted his cast and crew to add their takes as well to Nightmare Alley. During the press conference, he noted how he had the actors take proscenium while he watched something unfold, resulting in a film with many intentional variables. Everything is pristine, Del Toro said. Everything is in order, but it has a tension to it. That's not like a lot of his films. Like I said, a lot of his films kind of flow. They're kind of open-ended and almost dreamlike in a way. That's what was one of the things that drew me to him in the first place. I think that's it for that particular article. But I thought I'd pull it up because, like I said, I like him. I like what he does, but he seems to have somewhat lost his way. I hope in the future he kind of comes back to his strengths, but we'll see. Isaj Melody says Guillermo is the variation of William. So translated, he'd be Billy the Bull. Is it in a china shop or a bag? Who knows? Absolutely. We will see. Let's see what else you guys have got to say. Mark brings up a good point. He'd be lost without Doug Jones. Yes, and Doug Jones is one of those actors that appears in a lot of his films. Whenever he needs a creature actor, he's go-to guy, and he's done very, very well with him. They seem to have a really good rapport, which works in the films. Dave Bob said, I started mowing yards at 7 or 8, $1.50 for the front and $1.50 for the back. Nice. So a lot of people did. My first job, I think, was, how old was I? 16 when I first started working, and obviously have done ever since. I think it's important. It builds character, as my parents would say. Jim the Viking says films that require, in quotations, woke drama PR before release is a dead giveaway that they have a really crap product on their hands and must sell it at any cost. It does come across as kind of a knee-jerk reaction, doesn't it? Like I said, it seems like he doesn't really have that much confidence in it. I think it's a weird time to be releasing this film. I always think Christmas, if it's not kind of Christmas based, is a very hard sell for a lot of films. I know people are off, but it doesn't seem like it's something that really kind of would draw in the crowds, if you know what I mean. Whereas Spider-Man, you can go with your family, you can take the kids, you can go have a fun time. This is going to be a much heavier film, even if it wasn't set entirely in the 1940s. Trying to push in modern day sensibilities, modern day politics is going to be a very hard sell for this film, I think, unfortunately. Let's see what else you guys are saying. And Big Geek Jesse, thank you, honey. He sends us another $5. Thank you, hon. He says, wife and I retired, moved to the Midwest home, land away from cities. The question is, how far will work to get the dream? We did a lot and now have it. Absolutely. MB Geek is another prime example of what happens when you work hard all your life, when you know what you want, when you have a family, when you work towards this dream that you know you want. And here's another success story. So big thank you to MB Geek, honey. I hope you're enjoying the new house. I know you've put some pictures up on Twitter and it looks amazing. And hello, brightest day. Good to see you. I hope you had a good Christmas. Welcome to you. Nearsighted Cyclops says raking leaves for a quarter. I think I was underpaid. I think you were as well. If you were raking like the entire front garden or the entire back garden, only for a quarter, I would have given you at least $1. But that's a big deal as well, growing up. I think a lot of people here and looking in the chats and even doing little chores, it kind of prepares you for later on in life that you don't get anything for free. If you want something, if you want pocket money, it's a really good way to show kids, okay, so you work hard, you do your chores, you get a reward. I think that's a really good lesson to learn as early as possible in life. Absolutely. Oops. It skips on me. I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat and it just scrolls down to the bottom. But I like it as well. Like I said, I think the American dream, I don't think it's ever going to die. And it's something that even me myself I'm working towards. It's something that I would really, really like to be a part of one day. That's how important it is to me. Jim says raking leaves was for free, although my parents did, after all, put free roof over my head and free food on the table. That's a good way of looking at it as well. So it's, I think, especially if you've got like lots of siblings as well, you tend to kind of babysit. So the older kids look after the younger ones, and that's just how it is. That's how it's always been, and there's nothing wrong with that either. Mark says I was a tool washer and parts boy when I was 15. Worked for 2 years there for my first car. That is cool. So that is awesome. And good morning, Psychodwarf. Good to see you today. Hope you're having a good one. Brightest Day says the spirit of freedom and merit is akin to the natural human condition. Well said. Absolutely. And I think a lot of people I think the reason, for example, why this community works so well, why we have such a big community and why we have such a big network, is because we're all of kind of similar minds. A lot of people have very similar backgrounds. We have a lot of vets in our midst. We have a lot of very patriotic people. We have a lot of people with very strong morals as well. And I think that kind of reflects it. Lord of Pooper says, back in the day when you can burn leaves and enjoy that autumnal smell in the air. Yeah, see, here you still can. We have a tendency to kind of do that around about the 5th of November, obviously, because it's bonfire night. But yeah, before we do, always check for hedgehogs. That's the one thing that I always tell people. If you're going to have a bonfire, if you've got a big pile of leaves, check inside, make sure no hedgehog has made it its home. Because we love hedgehogs and they have a tendency to burrow inside and keep warm in there, and we don't want anything horrible to happen to them. And good morning, Gum Bunny. Good to see you. She says, I'm at least a dependent of a vet. Absolutely. We have a lot of veterans within our community, and I thank them as always for their service. MB Geek says, when you get away from the noise pollution, it's amazing what you can hear. Just close your eyes and hear natural sound. I miss that. I used to live out in the country. I live much closer to a city now, and you really do notice the difference when you're away from traffic and light pollution as well. That's a really big thing when you're not around street lights and lights going off and security lights going off all the time. I love to get to look up and see the stars, for example. That's one of the things that I really miss. Jim says, yes, definitely check for hedgehogs. They're cute animals. They are. I love hedgehogs. I don't see them as often as I used to, unfortunately. Dave Bob said, loaded hay one summer when I was 14, roofing at 15, and then didn't decide I wanted to do either. Yeah, moving hay, I can see that. Yeah. Snowderpooper says, don't forget to check for polar bears when blowing snow. Indeed. I'd imagine they're a lot easier to find than hedgehogs, though, to be fair, Snowderpoopers. Oh my gosh. So, guys, that's pretty much what I think. But we will see. But I think it's going to be another one of those films where, as you guys said in the chat, I think it's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction. I think he kind of knows that perhaps this isn't the best message to be spreading, but he's gonna do it anyway, damn it. So we will see, Del Toro. I hope he gets back to his roots with his films. The one film that he really wants to do that I don't know whether he will do, because technically Lovecraft has been cancelled now, was that he wanted to do In the Mountains of Madness. I always thought that he would have been the absolute perfect person to take on Lovecraft, because a lot of his films have that kind of cosmic horror vibe anyway. So I think he would have been great with that. And I think if I remember correctly, he did a kind of documentary. I think it was called the Lovecraft, The Fear of the Unknown, which I think came out in 2008, if I remember correctly, where he talks about how much he loves the writer and what a big influence he was. Yes. MB Geek says it's great here. I can see so many stars at night. I can just go a few miles where there's no light at all and see a river of stars and love it. Oh, I love getting to see the Milky Way. The last time I got to see it really, really clearly was when I was in New Zealand, and I was in a actual designated dark area, like a national park. So no light pollution is allowed there at all. And to be able to kind of lie back and just look up at the stars, it was really moving. Soul Assassin, good to see you. It says Del Toro does have an eye and skills to pull off Lovecraft. I think so too. I'd really love to see him be able to take on the project, but like I said, Lovecraft is kind of cancelled now. I mean, they keep trying to cancel him. It's not like Lovecraft was ever not controversial. He was controversial back when he was alive, but I'm one of those people that think you can definitely separate the art from the artist. Now, was Lovecraft a nice person? No, but he was a genius author. I love his work. I love his mind. I love the stories that he wrote and the legacy that he left behind, the people that he inspired as well. And Snowtub, did someone say blowing snow? You have selective hearing, love. And hello and good afternoon to Archer Colin. Good to see you. Says, it used to make me smile how many of Corman and Price's Edgar Allan Poe's films were closer to Lovecraft. Absolutely. There's a lot of filmmakers and a lot of writers that owe a lot to Lovecraft. I think a lot of them don't really want to admit it now, but yes. He also says, back in the days of freedom, we used to have a show at Castle Rising in the middle of Norfolk. No light pollution there. Nice. I hope it comes back for you. Like I said, just kind of veering off on a tangent a little bit. I think a lot of people, because we're so used to seeing light pollution and noise pollution and always having this kind of constant background, almost white noise going on, I think to be somewhere quiet and dark, sometimes it's kind of almost like resetting yourself. I find it really moving, I've got to admit. And Snowderpooper says, I saw that in New Zealand. I was staying at off-season ski resort called the Scotel. All the stars and a little stream that was trickling down the hillside. Oh, that's so beautiful. I bet we've been to similar places, Snowderpooper, so we're going to have a sit down and talk about New Zealand one of these days. Dave Bob says, one day I want to see the Northern Lights, the Aurora Borealis. I would love to see that. One of the places on my bucket list is Lapland. That's one of the things I'd love to see. I'd actually love to go around about Christmas time, maybe rent a chalet or something. I think that would be amazing. Renzira says people need to get a grip. I couldn't agree more. On the plus side, it does seem that people are kind of, if not waking up, then at least getting fed up to having the same message kind of pushed at them. Even people, I know it's not fair to say, but in quotations, normies are kind of waking up to the whole idea that, you know, watching films aren't as fun anymore when you're being lectured. So we will see if Hollywood finally takes note, or whether they'll just continue down the path that they're on. But we have got some really good entertainment this year. Dave Bob says at my dear least I can see the Milky Way. Oh, I love seeing it. I can't see where I am at the moment, although sometimes if I go away, because there's a very big kind of park nearby where I live, you can see the stars on a clear night. Archer Collins says, and as I understand, Lovecraft is supposed to have at least softened his views later in life. He was more of a xenophobe than a racist anyway. He was. And like I said, he was a controversial figure when he was alive. You know, people, they didn't support what he had to say as a person, even though people really loved his work. He was an outcast. He was shunned by people because of his views. And later on in life, as you say, he did change his tune and kind of realized that how he viewed people in the past was wrong. So people can change, but people are too quick to jump on the bandwagon that he was a horrible person that hated everybody and was an ist and a phobe. And yeah, people can change, guys. Brandon says, where I'm at, it's dark enough and clear enough I can see it clearly. I love it. Renzira says, normies are certainly waking up. I've been saying that for a while now. I'd agree with that. I think people are slowly kind of coming around to the idea. I think it's more to do with what we've all kind of been through for the last couple of years. People just want what we had before back. They just want to get on with life now. They just want to see friends and family. They want to be able to travel. They want to go to concerts, to the cinema, to the theatre, to do what we used to have in the past, and I suppose somewhat take for granted. Jim says going to Lapland is highly recommended during the winter season. Northern Lights, but also Santa Claus Village can be found in that region. Nice. It's on my bucket list, I promise. Snorter Pooper says I was there, New Zealand, in 2006. Sadly, I wasn't there long enough to see the South Island. I got to see both the North and South Island, but only got to spend a week in each. What I'd really like to do is start at the bottom of the South Island and just kind of travel up to the top of the North Island, maybe rent a camper van, perhaps. I think that would be a lot of fun, and just kind of stop off at Queensland and then go to Wellington and Rotorua and Auckland and just keep going across the two islands. I think that would be fantastic. Gumbunny says, if you come visit me, we have no noise and can see the stars if it's not cloudy. I love that. Like I said, it's for me, getting to see the stars or getting to be out in nature. It's kind of like a reset. It's a grounding experience. That's why I always love to do it, and that's why I love to go for a walk. I always try to walk every day, even if it's for only 20 minutes while I take the dog for a walk. It's always good to get out and to get some fresh air. Arwin says, I'd love to see the Northern Lights one day. I would too. I'd love to go to, like I said, Lapland would be fantastic. Canada, I believe you can see the Northern Lights as well. I think there's quite a few places around the world where you can see them, but I think it does depend on the time of year when's the best time. I mean, you can even see them in the UK very occasionally, in Scotland, but it has to be just right for it to be seen. Phonebox Chicken points out Churchill had similar views about Indians. Ford and Tsar Nichols, the second, were massive Semites. A lot of people had bad views in those days. They do, and not to, prop them up, but people did have bad views and were called out on it. People today act like that it was never the case, that people weren't criticised for these views. They were absolutely criticised, and rightly so. It skipped. Dave Bob says, I would love to go hunting New Zealand. I think you'd really like it. Lots of deer in New Zealand. New Zealand's one of those places that are very, very careful about what species gets introduced. Very similar to Australia, because they've had non-native species introduced, and it's absolutely wrecked the ecosystem. So, for example, there are, I think it's ferrets that got accidentally released in New Zealand, and they've decimated the kiwi population because kiwis didn't have any predators up until then. And because they are ground-based birds, what they do is they dig little burrows and they live underground. And because they've now got this predator, the poor kiwis really are in danger. Fortunately, they're kind of on the way back. A lot of the species have been bred in captivity and are being re-released, but they also in New Zealand say if you see a ferret and it's crossing the road, mow it down. It's one of the few countries I've ever been to that actively encourage you to take out certain species of animal if you see them. Phonebox Chicken says, my uncle moved to New Zealand over 20 years ago. I've only been to the North Island and it's great. It really is. Absolutely. It's fantastic. And Darth Arlina says, New Zealand has no snakes, my kind of place. Absolutely. It has no big predators at all. There are no snakes. There are no big spiders. There are no... there's only one type of indigenous lizard, which is the tuatara. The only big insect that they have is the weta. And those things, they look like monsters, but they're just basically a really big grasshopper. They're really cool, surprisingly, but they're a little bit rarer nowadays. But you still can see them in the wild. Colin says rabbits in ours, no predators, spread myxomatosis, which to local wildlife had no immunity, result devastation. Absolutely. I think bullfrogs as well got accidentally introduced, and those things eat absolutely everything, including each other and rocks, apparently. I have some Australian friends, and they tell me just how stupid these frogs are. TC Canadian says, I would love to see Hobbiton. Hobbiton is a fantastic place to walk around. The set is beautiful. Nearsighted Cyclops, he says, now, Purple. You saw Lord of the Rings. They have some huge spiders in New Zealand. True, I completely forgot about Shelob. My bad. Brandon says, if the new Matrix has taught us anything, that it's that men make better movies. Oh, snap. Amazing what's getting posted on Twitter. Oh my gosh. And Phonebox Chicken says, if only they could bring back the moa and those giant eagles that hunted them. Yes, the Hass eagle. Those things, if they had just held on for just a little bit longer, they would be a massive problem in New Zealand. Because New Zealand, I think they've got like 50 sheep to every one person, because that's one of their major exports is lamb. So that eagle would have had an absolute field day with all the sheep and cattle in New Zealand. That would have been interesting. And Colin says, then again, Australians lost a war to the emus. They did. They also lost a war to themselves as well, which was interesting. Oh my gosh, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today on this really weird, I'm not quite sure it's Monday. We have got a lot coming up this week. We have got a member stream on Loki's channel today. Later on, we've got a show over here on Wednesday, and I'm going to be joined by Project Storytime, which I am really excited about. We are going to be doing a show dedicated entirely to Monty Python. I love Monty Python. I cannot wait to talk about it. I think it's going to be a really silly but fun show. So that's going to be fantastic. We have got Pink and Purple this week as well, with the Lady Arwen coming up. I'm really looking forward to that. It will be our last Pink and Purple of 2021. But keep an eye on the channels because we have so much coming in 2022. We've got a new show with us coming. We've got a new show that I'm going to be doing with a panel show that's probably going to be once a month. It's going to be a true crime panel because that's one of the things that I'm passionate about that I don't get to talk about that often. So we're going to get a panel together. We're going to talk about crime and famous like serial killers, and we're going to go into that kind of side. We're going to go into do a deep dive into some of the darker, more interesting stories to do with true crime. So I'm really looking forward to that. We have got a show coming up on Friday. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. It's probably going to be thinking of doing a panel show with you guys, if you'd be interested. Do like a early kind of New Year's Eve show. I think that would be fun. And that would be a lot of be interesting as well. I know Brandon on the 1st has a triumphant return, which I'm looking forward to. We have got so much coming up in 2022. We've got more amazing history shows with Darth Arlena, which I love getting to do once a month on the Sunday. Other than the history show, I'm really going to kick into gear. We're going to go back to doing the interview shows that I love to do. I'm gonna have some amazing guests on, which I'm working on at the moment. People that we haven't had chance to talk to yet. We're gonna have some old friends back as well in the new year. So guys, watch this space because Rise and Shine is really going to kick into gear next year. I've got more merchandise that I'm working on at the moment to add to the shop. And there might be something else coming as well. So it's gonna be a big one, and I am so looking forward to it. 2021 has been a mixed bag for a lot of people, but the one thing that has been an absolute highlight for me is having you guys in my life. I am so grateful to all of you for your friendship. You guys are crazy, but I love you. What can I say? Arvin says 2022, cannot wait. Absolutely. And hello, Rabid Slug Ouchies. Good to see you. You're still not getting banned. Islash Melody says, I hear Monty Python and my mind goes to Biggest Dickus. Absolutely. And Mark, yes. We had a fantastic show with Mary and Mark and Loki the other day. Huge congratulations and a huge thank you to everybody who supported the charity. It's going to an incredibly worthy cause. And guys, if you want to pop the link in the chat, that would be fantastic. I know it's still running at the moment. It's for sick kids. So guys, if you can donate just a little bit more, I'm sure it would be very, very gratefully received. And Mark has graciously agreed to shave his head for charity. So I think he's going to look very handsome when he does. Looking forward to seeing it. And Phonebot's Chicken, that is cool. He says I should get to see Rammstein in 2022. It's been postponed twice. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for you, sweetheart. That's going to be great, and I'm sure it's going to be worth the wait when you do finally get to see them. Absolutely. And Bold is beautiful. Shave and a haircut, 2 bits. And thank you guys. Yes, please guys, check out the link that's in the chat. What I'll do is I'll pin that at the top as well. So guys, have a fantastic rest of your Monday. Have a wonderful week. A very, very Merry Christmas to all of you. To everybody who is relaxing, to everybody who is back at work now, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we will see each other again soon, no doubt. Take care, everyone. Mwah. See you later.